Hello students, welcome to AIMS India online classes. This is a chemistry session. In this, we are discussing about the chapter air and its constituents. In this session, we are going to say about oxygen, how it is being prepared in the laboratory, who discovered it, how it is occurring, what are the properties of oxygen. These points we are going to see in this session. Okay, let us start this. Let us see first the history of oxygen. Air contains 21% of oxygen gas by volume. Yes, we know this. The major constituents of air are nitrogen and oxygen. So the highest composition is of nitrogen, around 78%. The second greater component of air is oxygen, which is existing around 21% in the atmospheric air. Oxygen is very vital for the existence of all kinds of life on the earth, isn't it? Yes, as we have discussed in the earlier classes, we can live without food for few days. Without water, we can survive for few hours. But without air or oxygen, even we cannot survive for few minutes also. Isn't it? That much important this oxygen is. All the living things, they need oxygen gas for their breathing purposes. Oxygen was discovered by Joseph Priestley in 1774. He focused the rays of sun on mercury oxide contained in a test tube. He showed that a colorless gas is given out which relights the glowing wound in splint. So what he did? For the first time, Joseph Priestley in 1774, he prepared oxygen gas by heating mercury oxide in the presence of sunlight. Then he observed on heating this mercury oxide, certain colorless gas is being evolved out from the mercury oxide on heating. On this gas is rekindling the wooden splinter. So in that way, the oxygen gas was first prepared by him. Later on, it was Antony Lavoisier who proved that oxygen is an element, and he named this as oxygen, which means acid former. Of course, it was prepared by Joseph Priestley for the first time. They didn't call it as oxygen. They called it with other names like active gas, right? Fire gas. In this way, they have called this because it is supporting fire and it is providing life. So, life gas it is called, and it is being reactive. It was called active gas. In that way, that was named earlier when it was prepared for the first time. And later on, the scientist Antony Lavoisier done so many experiments on this gas oxygen and found its elemental nature. He called that this gas is not a compound and it is an element made up of oxygen atoms. And the name oxygen also was given by him. He expected and he thought that he believed that this gas is responsible for the formation of all acids. That is why he called this gas as oxygen. The name oxygen meaning is acid former. Acid former. He believed that all the acids are formed because of this gas. So oxy means acid, gen means generator. Acid generator or acid former. The meaning of this word is acid former. In that way, the gas is named as oxygen by Antony Lavoisier by believing that as the gas which is forming all the acids. Of course, it was proved that as this oxygen gas is not responsible for the formation of acids, but the name is being continued as it became popular. Okay. Significance of oxygen in atmosphere. It supports all the animals and plants life on the earth as it is essential for the respiration. As in the respiration process, living things they take in oxygen gas. Yes, so all the animals and living things they need this oxygen gas for their respiration process. It is essential for the combustion of fuels. Yes, not only for the respiration. Oxygen gas is useful for the combustion of fuels. compulsory there should be oxygen for the combustion of almost all the fuels. Man burns an enormous amount of fuels for his energy needs, isn't it? Nowadays, the people are using so many kinds of fuels for their purposes. They're burning so many kinds and so huge amount of fuels daily. So oxygen helps in the combustion of these fuels to form carbon dioxide and water vapor as main products. So most of the fuels, when they burnt in the oxygen, they produce carbon dioxide and water vapor as the products. Okay. In that way, carbon dioxide gas is useful for the respiration and even for combustion process also. Combustion means what first? Combustion is reaction of fuels with oxygen to produce heat and energy, along with the products carbon dioxide, water vapor, and of course some more other products also may be formed. That process is called combustion. Burning of fuels in the presence of oxygen is called combustion. This produces mainly carbon dioxide and water vapor as the products. Okay. In nature, it dissolves in water. This in turn helps to keep the water fresh and it is a source of respiration of water animals. Yes, in generally some quantity of oxygen around small quantity around to 1% or 2% of oxygen is in the dissolved form. It dissolves a small quantity into water. This dissolved oxygen gas is very important to keep the water fresh, and not only for that, it is very important for the aquatic animals for their respiration. What are these aquatic animals? The animals which are living inside the water are called aquatic animals. So these animals they won't come out for their breathing, isn't it? So they can breathe from the water itself. So they take the oxygen gas which is dissolved in the water. In that way, oxygen gas is very important in the for the aquatic animals also. A small quantity of oxygen dissolved in the water helps these animals for their respiration. Okay. Occurrence of oxygen. Where does this oxygen gas is available for us? How it is being occurred? Oxygen gas is the most abundant element occurring on the earth crust. Yes, not in the gaseous form, not only in the gaseous form. If you observe in all the forms, the most abundant element on the earth is oxygen. It is available in the gaseous form as well as in the combined state also. In the free state as well as in the combined state. In the both the states, oxygen is available to us in the most abundant quantity in the on the earth. Of course, most abundant gas in the atmosphere is nitrogen. But in the combined state as well as in the gaseous state, free state, the most abundant is oxygen on the earth crust. Okay. In combined state, 8 by ninth part of by weight of water constitutes oxygen. Yes, our earth is almost covered with 3/4 of water, isn't it? This water contains 8 by ninth part of oxygen because we know if you observe the water molecular formula H2O, two atoms of hydrogen combined with one atom of oxygen to form water molecule. If you see in terms of weight, 2 grams of hydrogen combined with 16 grams of oxygen. If you see in the simplest ratio, 1 gram of hydrogen combined with 8 grams of oxygen means in each percentage 8 by ninth part of water weight is because of oxygen. That way, it is largely existing in the combined form in water. Large amount of oxygen is trapped in its compounds. Not only in the water, in so many compounds form also oxygen is available as on the earth. Like its compounds like silica. What is meant by silica? We know it is a sand. In the sand also, the chemical formula is silicon dioxide SiO2 that contains oxygen. Even some other compounds which are available to us in the earth crust like limestone and the oxides of various metals like iron oxide, copper oxide, magnesium oxide. In this way, in the so many metal oxides form also, this oxygen gas is available to us in the combined state. So we can say oxygen gas is available to us in the nature both in free state as well as in the combined state. In the free state, we know around 21% of atmospheric air itself is oxygen. In the combined state, in many forms it is available. In the water, most of the weight of water is because of oxygen itself. And in the remaining compounds like silica and some other components like carbonates, oxides of metals. In these all, oxygen is available to us in the combined form. In that way, oxygen is occurring in the nature in both the forms. Okay. Next, of course, it is available in the earth crust and in the atmosphere, even in the on the earth in the form of water. But how to prepare this oxygen gas in the laboratory? Can we prepare oxygen gas synthetically in the laboratory from the chemicals? Yes, we can. At the starting, we told the discovery of oxygen is also done from the chemicals itself. Scientists they have heated. Joseph Priestley he heated mercury oxide. So by heating mercury oxide, oxygen gas is prepared. In this way, we can prepare oxygen gas in the laboratory from the chemicals. Let us see one of those methods here. Although there is almost limitless supply of oxygen in the atmosphere, there is no easy method to obtain oxygen from the atmospheric air in laboratory. Yes, it is one of the important point to note because in the atmosphere around 21% of air is oxygen, but there is no easy method to separate this oxygen gas from the atmospheric air because atmospheric air is a mixture of several gases like the major component nitrogen, oxygen, carbon dioxide, water vapor, dust particles, and some other impurities also present in the atmosphere air. So the separation of pure oxygen from these all gaseous mixtures is not an easy task. That is why it can be prepared from the chemicals in the laboratory easily. Instead of separating this oxygen gas present in the atmospheric air, it is easy to prepare from the chemicals. So oxygen gas can be prepared by heating number of chemical compounds containing oxygen. Yes, by heating the most of the chemical compounds containing oxygen, we can prepare oxygen gas like metal oxides, metal carbonates, some of the metal carbonates on heating they produce this oxygen gas. Okay, now let us see one of those methods here. Preparation of oxygen by heating mercury oxide. Yeah, the method by which it was discovered for the first time by William Scheele, Joseph Priestley in 1774. So the same method let us see here. The heating of mercury oxide. So if you take around 5 grams of mercury oxide into a dry, clean, hard glass test tube and hold the test tube to a iron stand as shown in the figure here. Then if you heat this mercury oxide taken in the test tube by using Bunsen burner, then what happens? Slowly, a colorless gas will be evolved from this test tube because this mercury oxide taken here will be decomposed into mercury and oxygen gas. So that oxygen gas evolved will come out through the test tube. So as we told, this is a colorless gas. So to identify as this colorless gas evolving from the test tube as oxygen, we can test that with a burning splinter. If you bring a wooden splinter near the test tube mouth, then it rekindles, it burns brightly. Okay? Introduce the glowing end of the wooden splint in the test tube. So that's what they're telling here. So if you take a wooden splint, blow up the flame, and keep that splint near the mouth of the test tube. What happens then? As this oxygen gas supports combustion, it this burns brightly. Okay, what do we observe here? They have given see the reddish brown mercury oxide changes to black residue and gives off colorless vapors of this oxygen gas. So, what is the reaction occurring in that? Mercury oxide on heating. This reddish brown colored mercury oxide on heating, it decomposes to form mercury and oxygen gas. Colorless oxygen gas is produced out. Okay, to test this oxygen gas, what we have done, we kept a glowing splint near the mouth of the flame. It burst to flame immediately, showing that mercury oxide on heating giving oxygen gas. We know this oxygen gas supports combustion. That is why only the splint burst into flame. A mirror-like surface is formed near the cooler parts of the test tube, thereby showing that mercury is the other product of decomposition of mercury oxide. Yes, not only this colorless gas evolved, there will be some other indication in the test tube. On the cooler parts of the test tube, there will be a mirror-like formation. Mirror-like surface is being formed on the inner walls of test tube. This indicates there is a formation of mercury also along with the oxygen. Thus, what we can say, on heating this mercury oxide, it decomposes to form mercury and colorless oxygen gas. These two are produced. In that way, oxygen gas is produced on heating a metal oxide like mercury oxide. Right? So this is a equation related to the reaction happened in that. So when we take mercury oxide into the test tube, reddish brown colored mercury oxide in the test tube, on heating, this gives oxygen gas. Along with the oxygen gas, black color mercury is also formed. So these vapors of mercury sticks to the cooler parts of the test tube walls inside. So that forms a silver-like mirror, right? That indicates the formation of mercury in that. And the formation of oxygen is tested by using burning splint, wooden splint. So if you take a burning splint and put off its flame, and if you keep this burning wooden splint near the mouth of the test tube, it starts rekindling again. That indicates the gas evolved from the test tube as oxygen gas. Okay, here it is a test shown here. A glowing splinter will relight and burn brightly in the presence of oxygen. Not only that, a burning candle burns more brightly in an atmosphere of oxygen. These two will prove the presence of oxygen gas, or they will prove the gas evolved from the experiment as oxygen. Okay, burning splinter experiment proves the presence of oxygen in that. Next, what are the physical properties of oxygen? Oxygen is a colorless, odorless gas. Yes, we cannot see that, we can smell the oxygen gas also, but we can feel it and we can use it for respiration. That's it. Since the gas has been collected over water, it is not appreciably soluble in water. Yes, as this gas is not much soluble into water, often in the laboratory, this oxygen gas is collected by the method called downward displacement of water. Means this gas will be collected through water. Means this oxygen gas is soluble in slight quantity only in the water. However, this less solubility of oxygen in water is extremely important. Even though the small quantity of oxygen is only soluble into water, this small quantity only is very important for the aquatic life, for fish and other aquatic animals which are dependent on the dissolved oxygen gas in the water for their respiration. Yes, even though a small quantity of oxygen gas is soluble into water, this small quantity of oxygen is only very important for the respiration of these all aquatic animals. Aquatic animals means the animals which are living inside the water, like fish and others. Okay, these animals they won't come out from the water for their respiration. They'll be inside the water and they'll take the oxygen gas which is dissolved in the water. Remember, they are not taking the oxygen which is there in the water molecules in the form of H2O. They are taking the oxygen gas dissolved in the oxygen water. That dissolved oxygen they are taking for the respiration by the gills. Okay? Oxygen is slightly heavier than water. How do you say the heavier nature of oxygen? Generally, the gases densities are calculated in terms of their vapor densities. The vapor density of atmospheric air is taken as 14.4. whereas the vapor density of oxygen is taken as 16. That means generally from their molecular masses we can calculate the density, which we are going to learn in the higher classes, no worry. So vapor density of oxygen is equal to molecular weight of oxygen by 2. The molecular mass of oxygen is 32, so by 2 means 16. Whereas for the vapor density of air is calculated by taking the average of these all based upon the percentage, because air is a mixture of so many gases, isn't it? So for that, on average calculation, we get it as 14.4. So for normal air, it is 14.4, whereas for oxygen, the density is 16. Now we can say oxygen is slightly heavier than normal air. Okay, next, bring a litmus paper near the mouth of the jar full of oxygen. You will see that there is no change in its color. Yes, if you test oxygen gas with moist litmus papers, how many colors of litmus existing? Two colors, blue and red litmus papers are available. So if you test this blue oxygen gas with these moist litmus papers, if you dip the moist litmus paper into the oxygen gas of two colors, there will be no change in the color of these litmus papers. This proves that oxygen gas is neutral. It is not acidic or basic. It is neutral gas because it is not showing any color change with both the colored litmus papers. Okay. Therefore, oxygen has no effect on litmus, hence it is neutral in nature. Oxygen can be liquefied on strong cooling into a pale blue liquid. Yes, oxygen gas can be liquefied at a very high pressure and on strong cooling. So if the temperature is reduced to around minus 185 degrees Celsius, the boiling point of oxygen is minus 183 degrees Celsius. So if you cool the oxygen gas to the temperature below to this, then it will be liquefied. That liquefied oxygen gas will be in the pale blue color. So it is shown here. So this liquefied oxygen gas is industrially it is called LOX, liquefied oxygen gas. So it is called LOX. LOX. LOX means liquefied oxygen gas. Generally, this liquefied oxygen gas is used as fuel or as one of the components of fuel in the rockets. Because instead of taking the gaseous form, if it is taken in the liquid form, it occupies very less volume, isn't it? If you take a big container of oxygen gas, it can be liquefied and can be stored in a small bottle. So in that way, the liquefied gases will occupy very less volume. That's why this oxygen gas also will be liquefied often into the term called LOX, and it is used for the combustion of fuels in rockets. Okay. Next, combustion. The process of burning of fuels in the presence of air or oxygen with the release of large amount of heat energy and light energy is called combustion. So the burning of fuels in the presence of oxygen is called combustion. In this combustion process, large amount of heat energy or light energy will be produced. Often both will be produced. During the process of combustion, the oxygen of the air reacts with the carbon and hydrogen present in the fuels to form carbon dioxide gas and water vapor. So most of the fuels are made up of carbon and hydrogens. The compounds present in the fuels mostly they contain carbon and hydrogen. So when these fuels are burned, when these fuels are undergone combustion process, they combine with oxygen, and finally they form carbon dioxide and water vapor as the main products. Along with these two products, light and heat energy are produced out. Okay, that process is called combustion. Okay, next. So what is happening here? See, equationally, fuel plus oxygen gives carbon dioxide and water vapor, and heat energy is produced in the form of light or other heat form. The carbon dioxide gas and water vapor so formed are released in the air. The heat energy released is put to various domestic or industrial uses. Yes, this is the main purpose of burning or undergoing this combustion process. Why do we use these fuels for the combustion? For using this heat energy produced by those. We are using so many fuels nowadays through this combustion process for our different domestic and industrial purposes, isn't it? For example, we are using a fuel at our homes daily in the kitchen. What is that? LPG we call it. Did you hear this? Yes, if you go to the kitchen and if you sit down to the stove, there is a red color cylinder which is containing a fuel which is called butane. So that is one of the fuels. When it is burnt in the stove, that fuel burns in the presence of oxygen and produces carbon dioxide, water vapor as products. And large amount of heat energy is produced through the flames. So that heat energy is used on the stove for cooking purpose, for cooking or different food items, isn't it? Not only there, even in the vehicles also, we use some fuels like petrol and diesel. When these are burnt in the engine, in the presence of oxygen, those fuels burn in the presence of oxygen and produce carbon dioxide and water vapor as products. And enormous amount of heat energy is produced by the combustion process. So that heat energy is used for the movement of vehicle there. Not only these two, even in the industries and factories also, so many kinds of fuels are undergone combustion, and so formed heat energy is used for the running of those industries in different forms, right? Next, let us see here the chemical properties of oxygen. Oxygen is one of the most reactive elements found in nature. It reacts with almost all the elements to form its compounds called oxides. Let us examine some of its properties. First among them is oxygen is a good supporter of combustion. Yes, oxygen supports combustion. Let us test this. Bring a glowing splinter into a jar of oxygen. We will notice that it bursts into big flame and continues to burn vigorously. So if it bring a normal burning splinter into the test tube containing oxygen, that burning splinter bursts into a big flame and continues to burn with vigorous flames because oxygen gas supports combustion. Now, if you compare this with a burning splinter outside the oxygen jar in the presence of air only, we'll find that oxygen gas helps combustion. So to understand this, take two burning splinters. Bring one burning splinter near the jar of oxygen. One you keep in the just in the atmospheric air. The burning splinter kept near the oxygen gas cylinder or the test tube containing oxygen burns brightly, bursts into flame, big flame, and continues to burn vigorously, whereas the other burning splinter burns slowly. So this shows that oxygen gas supports combustion of fuels. One more, oxygen gas is supporter of combustion, but is not combustible itself. Yeah, it is one of the interesting point here. Oxygen gas is supporter of combustion, no doubt in that. But oxygen gas is non-combustible gas. It supports the combustion of other substances, but it won't burn itself. So this let us test with this. Bring a burning splinter near to a jar of oxygen. Then that burning splinter burns more vigorously, but oxygen gas in the jar does not catch fire. It clearly shows that oxygen is a supporter of combustion but not combustible in itself. Okay, oxygen is supporter of combustion but it won't burn itself. Just it helps the burning of other substances but it won't burn itself. That we say it is a combustible gas and non-support, it is a supporter of combustion, sorry, it is a supporter of combustion but a non-combustible gas. Generally, metals react with oxygen to form their respective basic oxides. For example, sodium. When sodium is kept in the atmosphere, this catches fire on reaction with the oxygen and form sodium oxide. So sodium oxide is a metal oxide. If we see another metal like magnesium, if magnesium ribbon is burnt in the atmospheric air on a burning splinter, that catches fire and burns brightly and forms a white color ash called magnesium oxide. In this way, all the metals on reaction with oxygen they form respective metal oxides, which are basic in nature. Similarly, non-metals such as carbon, sulfur, and phosphorus react with oxygen to form acidic oxides. So, metals on reaction with oxygen they form metallic oxides which are basic in nature. Non-metals react with oxygen or burns the brains of oxygen to form non-metallic oxides which are acidic in nature. For example, if you say carbon, if carbon is burnt in the brains of oxygen, it forms carbon dioxide, which is acidic in nature. That is why this carbon dioxide is used in the preparation of soft drinks and soda. This carbon dioxide, on dissolving into water, forms carbonic acid. So, because of that, it gets some sourness. Anyhow, here non-metal carbon on burning in the brains of oxygen producing non-metallic acidic oxide carbon dioxide. If you say sulfur, sulfur on burning in the brains of oxygen produces sulfur dioxide. If you say phosphorus, another non-metal, this also on burning in the brains of oxygen forms its oxide called phosphorus pentoxide P2O5. These all non-metallic oxides are generally acidic in nature. In this way, metals form metallic oxides which are basic in nature. Non-metals form non-metallic oxides which are acidic in nature on reaction with oxygen. Okay, this is about chemical properties of oxygen. Thank you for watching our video. Please subscribe our YouTube channel AIMS Today for latest updates on recorded videos.